Welcome to my channel. On this channel, I'm going to be talking about how you can manage group and also assign the principle of least privilege on Azure Active Directory at the group level. Let's say, for instance, you are working in a multinational organization with over thousands of employees across different regions and departments. As an IT administrator or as an IT organization, how can you manage all your users and members? Are you going to manage them as a single unit, or are you going to manage them as a group and assess roles and assign access at the group level? It's very important to understand the use of Azure Identity and Access Management as a solution for an organization to use to manage its members and users and also external users, example, business to business collaborators, to enable them protect their identities and also protect licenses and securities. Here, I'm going to be talking about how to create groups and also how to manage groups, assign roles on the groups, remove group members, and as well delete groups. So you can create groups by providing access and special permissions to all group members instead of to individual users. On the Azure Active Directory roles, you can manage groups. And also, for you to manage groups, you must be a group administrator, or you must be a global administrator, user administrator, or you must be a privileged administrator. These are access or roles you have to be in Azure Active Directory before you can manage groups, create groups, remove groups, or delete group members. So here, group management in Azure Active Directory is very important because assigning roles and access permissions at the group level is the best security you can maintain in an organization because of using the principle of least privilege. It's very also important to understand there are two types of groups in Azure Active Directory. We have the security groups and also the Microsoft 365 groups. Azure Active Directory provides several ways to manage access to resources, applications, data, and tasks, and also managing these resources, data, and types. You can manage it under these two types of groups by assigning different level of roles and access permissions on security groups and also on Microsoft 365 groups. Later on the demo, I will show how to assign groups under security groups and also how to assign groups and members under Microsoft 365 groups. Also, looking at other group membership types, we have the assigned users, we have the dynamic users, and also we have the dynamic devices. These are three group membership types. You can see why you are creating or assigning roles on Azure Active Directory groups. Dynamic users, first of all, assigned users lets you to add specific users as member of a group and have a unique permissions. So with assigned users, groups or members on that particular group will be assigned a particular unique roles and permissions, unlike the dynamic users and dynamic devices. On the dynamic users, Azure Active Directory lets you use dynamic membership rules to automatically add and remove members. What happens if a member's attributes change or a member leaves the organization? In this case, the system looks at your dynamic group rules for the directory to decide if the member meets the rules requirement, they are added, or if they no longer meet the rule requirements, they are removed. Why on the dynamic devices, Azure Active Directory lets you use dynamic group rules to automatically add and remove devices. This is the same way as when a member's attributes changes. If a device attribute changes, the system looks at your entire dynamic group rules for the directory to also to decide. You can create a dynamic group for dynamic devices or dynamic users, but not both of them. You cannot as well create a device group based on the device owner's attributes. Device memberships rules can only reference device attributions, which you have to review at the group level and also look at the options that are very common among all these devices or assigned or dynamic users. Now, we're also going to look at how to manage administrative units and also to understand what is administrative units in Azure Active Directory. It is like a container for the other Azure Active resources that holds other Azure Active resources and enables you to subdivide your organizations into any units that you want. Like you can add users, groups, or devices to administrative units. So now let's proper do the demo so that you can understand how you can create groups, manage groups, and also grant access using the principle of least privilege, and also how you can make use of security groups and Microsoft 365 groups in creating your groups and the type of roles and administrative rights you can access at the group level. Stay tuned and let's do the demo. Coming to the demo, for you to be able to have an access to Microsoft Azure portal, you must be registered and also have a subscription. And for you to be able to manage groups, create groups, you must be a global administrator, as I've already explained, or user administrator or privilege administrator. Now, I will move to my Microsoft Azure tenant. I'll click here. This is still home. I will search on the search bar. I move to Microsoft Entra ID, which is the same as Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Now, this is my tenant as a global administrator, and also the license I'm using is Microsoft Entra ID Premium 2 license, which will enable me to manage all the resources and grant access on Microsoft Azure Active Directory. Okay, right now let's see my member users on Azure Active Directory. Now, these are already the member users I have on my Azure Active Directory. I have three member users, which are native member tenants, and I have one guest user. If you don't know how to create a member user and guest user, I already made a video on how to create member user and guest users and also how to assign roles and manage them. But here I will create extra two member users and also extra two guest users to show anybody who doesn't know how to create users. First of all, I will go here, create new user. I will create a member user who is also an employee in our organization. Put it here, you write the name of the user, and also the display name. This is the name of the user that will come with the user tenant's email. Now I'll put this display name that will come here. Here the password is already generated. I can decide to remove it. I can also decide to make the password auto-generated. Then I will go further here and I'll write the full name of the user as the last name. The user is a member. Here you can change also as a guest. I'll write also software developer and company names, whatever I want to write. And also you can add the user's structured address, office location, add a manager. Just to know all the things you can do. And the most important thing is setting the user location. I will set the user location to Angular because without setting the user location, it cannot assign any license and roles to this user. Now let me assign this user. I'm not going to assign any role to this user, but if you want to assign role to this user, here, this is the role you can assign this user. Okay, I'll assign one particular role, but it's always good when every user has the same role descriptions and everything. It's always good to use the principle of least privilege and also for security to assign roles at the group level. But I'll assign this user one particular role as a compliance administrator. As a compliance administrator, the user can read and manage compliance configurations and reports in Microsoft Entra ID and Microsoft 365. So this is a single unit role for this particular user. I will select it and we could see that is it. The compliance administrator here. Here is also when I want to add the user to a group, I can add the user to a group or add the user to an administrative unit. That I will perform later. So this is the user password and everything. And now this is the user email that the user can use to access the platform. So the user is totally created and the user's location is shown and the roles are here. We could see on the administrative unit, there is no administrative unit assigned and there is no group assigned. Later, I will create it. Let me create this user. Let me refresh. Now we could see that I've created a new user, Chinonye Mba. Now let me create another user, which is for the guest user. Now creating this user, I have to use an email address for this user, but I will use a fictitious email address. It's very important for this email address I'm using for the explanation is because it's an external user. An external user can use private email address, school email address, or work email address, which is kind of very different from when you are inviting an employee who is a member of the tenant. And the member of the tenant generates the tenant email address. But here, when we send this user this notification, it goes directly to the user's email address. That the user cannot be able to now accept the invitation and be able to access the organization tenant platform and also use the resources for collaborations. Now you can send a message to the user. You send any message you want and everything. Now you can review and invite the user. We could see here the user now everything. I will not assign this user any administrative units. I will not assign any groups and I've not assigned any roles to this user. If I want to do it, I can easily go here and do it, but I don't want to assign. I want to assign this user roles on the group level or at the group level. Now I'm sending the invitation to this user. Let me refresh. We could see now this is the user. I have now 2 guest users and I have 4 member users. So right now, this is for anybody that doesn't know how to create and assign roles to users and manage users. Now let me go back to creating of group. I'll go back to my tenant. So this is the group level. I will now select the group. We could say these are already the groups I have that are already assigned on this tenant. I will delete some of the groups so that you see how I create groups. I will delete all the groups. Yeah, some of the groups cannot be deleted. Let me see the one I can delete and delete because the group has an active license, so it cannot be deleted. So yeah, for groups that have, let me go to deleted groups. Now these are the deleted groups that I've deleted. So if you delete a groups, it stays 30 days for the original groups, or after 30 days, if they're not, after 30 days, they can automatically be deleted and you cannot now get back to the group. Let me delete the group permanently. I don't need it again. Now I've permanently deleted the groups from the tenant. Let me go back to all the groups and see groups that are remaining. This is my tenant. Now this is the group that is remaining, authentication, multi-factor authentication, because this group has a license. Now let me start creating a group. So as I already said, we have the group type, security, and Microsoft 365 group type. Now let me enter the name of the group. Now I'm creating this group under the group type security. Let me enter the group name, cloud security, and group description. We could see here, if you put no, you cannot assign any roles to this group. We could see the membership type. We could see it's assigned here, dynamic user, and here, dynamic devices, as I've already explained. Let's see how it works. You could see when you put the Microsoft roles can be assigned to the group, you click no, you cannot assign any Microsoft role to these groups, but you can assign owners, and also you can assign all group members. But when you click yes, now we could see you can able to assign Azure Active Directory roles or Entra ID roles to this group. So to understand, and the membership type assigned is automatically highlighted. Unlike when you click no, you can still change the membership type. And when you put the membership type dynamic user, you can now perform a dynamic query on the user members. Let's use as see dynamic device. When you put dynamic device, it's the same thing. You can only select owners. You cannot select any membership because you are dealing with device members, and also you can add query. Let's look at it. Now you can be able to add queries and expressions on the dynamic device rules, but that's not what we're working. Sorry, I went back so much. Let me continue creating the new group again since I've not created it. Cloud security. Now I'll click yes to highlight. Okay, now let me select the members of the group. We could see now these are different, all the administrative roles, which we are not doing right now. Let me select users. Here I will select this. I will select Bookie. I will select Chinoyemba, and I will select Kemdike as members of this group. Or I will select Trey as members of this group. Yes, I'll select them right now. Now let me select roles that can be added at the group level. Now I can add this, look at roles, cloud security, app security roles. I can add cloud application administrator and cloud device administrator, because looking at the group name and the roles is all about cloud security. So I'll select it. Then, and we could see cloud device administrator and two other roles. Now, let me select who is a group owner. Group owner is just like someone who manages the group. On all the people I've selected, let me select the group owner. Here, I've selected the group owner. Now, let me create the group. So, reading this, when you create a group in which Microsoft Entra roles can be assigned, you cannot change the settings later. So this is to tell you cannot later change the settings, and also you can add additional rows, but you cannot change the settings. So I'll confirm yes. I've created a group. Let me refresh. Now we could see the group I've created, cloud security group. Right? Let me create another group. So now let me create Microsoft 365 group and see the difference. Group name, SharePoint group. Now this is the email address that the group can use to manage their access. This is the email address the group can use to manage their access as a group under SharePoint group for Microsoft 365 type of group. Now I will assign roles and click yes and assign roles to this group. First of all, I will select members of the group, which is ideal. And we could see the difference here. For here on the Microsoft 365, only shows the users and not under the group. So you cannot assign group on Microsoft 365. I'll select everyone. I'll select them. Then let me assign roles. Let me leave this. I can assign global reader to all the groups, and also I'm looking at Microsoft 365. Yeah, migration administrator. I'm looking at roles that are related to Power Platform, SharePoint administrator, service support, SharePoint embedded. So this is quite okay for the group. I will select the roles and this are that. Now let me select who is the owner of the group. I'll select Kemdike as the owner of the group. And also selected Gerard Obama as the owner of the group. Signed and I'll create. Now create a group. I will refresh. Now we could see the SharePoint group. I've already created the SharePoint group. This is how you can create groups and assign roles using the principle of least privilege at the group level. Now let's see other things we can do on the group. Okay, let's go back to the group. tenant. This is my tenant right now. And looking at my groups, these are the groups level I've created again. Let's look at these two different groups and let's see things we can perform on these groups. I selected the cloud security. And on the cloud security, we can see the membership type is assigned, the source is cloud, and the group type is security, having the object ID and also created at this level. There is something I want to check on all the different group members. Let's see the group members. I've checked the group members. These are different group members. And let's see how, if all the group members has location assigned, and already you can edit, yes, all the group members by using properties. This group has location assigned. Let's go back to the group members. User location is very, very important when you're working on user management in Azure Active Directory. Let me also look at the properties. Has location assigned and Barbara. Let me look at the properties. Now we could see that Barbara doesn't have any location assigned. So if we want to assign location to Barbara, we go to settings and assign usage location to Barbara and save. Now we'll refresh. Let's look at Barbara, the display name. We can see the dates the group is created. We can also see the assigned licenses. We can view it. We can also see the parental control. So from here, you can edit the user. And also here, you can monitor the user sign-ins and logins, has 0 sign-ins. Okay, now these are the members of the group. Let's see other things I can perform on the group level. Our group, we are still on the cloud security group. Now here, we are looking at the direct members of the group. We have 3 members, 3 users. They are not on any group, on they are only on the particular group that they are being assigned. We can also have nested groups where a group is being assigned to another group. And we have 1 owner and no group membership. So here, we can as well assign roles to this particular group if we want to add extra roles to this group by clicking add assignment and selecting 1 more roles. We can select 1 more roles to this particular group and select date eligible roles. And when we go to eligible roles, we assign this group under eligible roles while we have active roles here. So what else can we perform on the groups? When we look at the owner, this is the owner of this particular group. So we can see it's very easy to understand who is the owner of this group. And you can assign more owners to the group by clicking here and assign more owners. Let's look at roles and administrator. So now here we are understanding about administrative roles by granting access for privileged actions in Microsoft Entra ID. And we have already granted roles at the group level. Let me look at the administrative units. You can also assign licenses. But first of all, let me look at the administrative units. This is the administrative unit. I've not created administrative units. I'll create administrative unit and then assign this group to administrative units. Let's see it here. we could see these are the things, administrative units. So here we have license administrator, SharePoint administrator, field engineer administrator. These are the old administrative units I've created. I will create new administrative unit for you to see how to create administrative unit. But for this, I'm not going to use it so that you understand how to create administrative units before I assign it to group. So on the group membership, you can see they are not in any group membership. Let me add any group membership. We could see these are already the group I created cloud security, the group we are, and authentication group for here. Now I can put them on this group membership and select. Okay, you can see that Nexon is not supported to groups that can be assigned to roles. Applications, let's look at applications. No applications is licenses. Now let me assign a license on the group level. Now I'm going to assign Microsoft ID governance license, or I'll assign this. I'll only assign for multi-factor authentication license and assign to license to this group. So it is very important for license assignment to always assign license at the group level. Let's go back. Now we could see the two license. Let's check the group. We could see here under the Microsoft ID Premium 2, I've assigned two license for the group. Now this group is under subscription 1, which is the tenant subscription for the global administrator. The next thing I will do right now is to create administrative units and add this group to administrative units. Or I will also still create a second group. Let me go back to groups. Here we have already two groups. I've already created two groups, which is enough. Let's look at the Microsoft 365 group and see how they are. We could see it is assigned the source cloud, and we could see 4 users and also 2 owners and 4 members. And let's look at the owners. These are the owners, members of the group, and let's look at the owners. And these are the 2 owners of the group. If you want to remove an owner, you can automatically remove an owner from here. The same thing, administrative assigned administrative units. I will also create administrative units and assign this group to administrative units. Let's see this group membership. Here we cannot assign group membership because the group type is what Microsoft 365. You can also assign extra rows to this group. You can see all the rows that are under these active rows that I already assigned. If you want to assign extra rows, you can ask for assign extra assignment and rows to this particular group. But I will not assign it, it's already enough. Or I can still do it. I've already assigned this. Windows 365, which is on the directory, assign and assign. Assign role is successful. And yeah, this is I've assigned. You can see the Windows 365, I assigned it as under eligible assignments. So now we could see how we can manage groups and assign licenses and also assign roles at the group level. Let me assign license to this particular group. Let me select Entra ID. Let me select two license. Let me select multi-factor authentication, two license, and let me save. And let's go to the SharePoint group. We could see also here the enabled license is 2, while the total license is 4. So this is important to know how you can manage groups and also assign users at the group level, which is really very good for zero security strategy and trust, and also to enable, even if a member of a group is migrating to another group or leaving the organizations, the license that is being assigned is assigned at the group level. It is not assigned at a sole member role. Now let me create administrative units. I'll click on administrative units. These are the administrative units I have. Let's wait for it. Yes, now let me check the name of the acquisition cloud management. What name? Yeah, cloud management monitoring. Okay, you can put any descriptions. It's enough. Now let me restriction management administrative unit. If I put restricted management, I cannot maybe reassign membership. Right now, let me go to roles. So these are the roles that I can assign under administrative units. Um, Let me look at the roles that are very good. And you can understand these role types are built-in roles. You can also have custom roles depending on what you want. Now, let me add this, this, and this as a user. Or I can decide to add 2%. I've added 2 people on the administrative unit. I'll review and create. Now, this is the name of the now this is the cloud management monitoring that I've created, right? And these are other administrative units that I've created. This is the new administrative unit right now that I've created. You can as well delete an administrative unit. Let's see units that can be deleted. Let me put delete here. Now you could see how you can automatically delete administrative units without having any problems. I've deleted these administrative units. So the new administrative units, let's add groups to administrative units. Because why are we adding groups to administrative units? Because the group that has the same roles, permission rights, you can add them as administrative units as a container to hold all these particular groups. It helps an easy management of your groups. I'll go to my Microsoft Entra ID. I'll open groups. Now we have security groups, cloud security groups. Let me click on them. Let me open it. Let me open administrative units. Now we could see the remaining administrative units I have. I can click cloud monitoring management. I click select. Now I've already assigned this group to cloud management monitoring. If I click on it, now let's see groups. Let's see devices. Let's see groups. Let's see users. And let me add members here. No, let me not add members. Let me add groups. Now we could see the group, cloud security group, I've already added on the administrative units cloud monitoring groups. I can as well add members here again as members of this administrative unit. I can as well send a bulk operations. Let me look at the groups. Yeah, this is the cloud security groups I've added on the administrative unit. I can also add new groups. That is by creating new groups to it, but I'm not creating another new group. Let's look at the groups for the administrative units, which, creating new groups on the administrative unit, or I can do it for you to understand this. Can create this group, cloud maintenance, or cloud resources. Yes. Members. I can see use. I can even assign enterprise applications. I can assign these on the groups. I can decide to assign another group, but I want to assign users only. I'll select this. These users are with the enterprise applications. I'll select yes, then I'll assign owner of the group, who is always a member tenant, or I can as well assign to owners one who is also a member of the group. Now let me select roles as application developer. As a global access. Now let me create it. Yes. So you can see various ways, times, and how you can create groups. Creating groups as standalone groups and adding to the administrative unit, and creating groups through the administrative units. Let's look at the users. Now these are the two users I brought to the administrative units that are showing. Sometimes you need to refresh and have patience for it to show. You can as well later with these few minutes come back and see the group that I created on the administrative units. So these are ways you can create for devices. Yes, you can create. If you want to watch how to manage devices on Microsoft Azure Active Directory, look at my next channel and see how you can manage your devices and add your devices to users and also to groups. Let me go back to groups. So these are the two groups we've created, and this is the third group here. Let's look at this group and add it to administrative units. We can as well go straight to administrative units, SharePoint groups, administrative units. We don't have it. These are administrative units we have, and this is it. We'll select maybe the SharePoint, we'll select field support engineers and administrative units that we're going to add to the SharePoint. Yes. So let's go back to the SharePoint group and look at it. We look at the total groups, group members, we look at the administrative units. The administrative units of this SharePoint is field support engineers. And let me add straight from the administrative unit from the tenant. Here, this is the administrative unit, and we have SharePoint administrator on the administrative unit. And we have license administrator, we have cloud management monitoring, and we have the field support engineers. So I can as well add by creating more administrative units and adding it. So you could see management of groups and users on Microsoft Azure Active Directory at the group level and assigning licenses and roles at the group level using the principle of least privilege, and also administrative units to manage all the groups that has the same access and resources together. This enables an organization to monitor different roles that are being assigned to users, and also to maintain a zero trust strategy by monitoring users and to understand what users, their access roles, their permission rights, and also how they use their roles and permission rights. Thank you for watching, and also stay tuned and watch my next channel on how to manage multi-factor authentication on Azure Active Directory and protect your user sign-ins and also your user logins. Thank you, and don't forget to subscribe and like and comment. Thank you so much.